The Revenant is a heart-wrenching story of Leonardo, who is left to die after being brutally attacked by a bear. His son is murdered right before his eyes, and he is powerless, unable to do anything. Consumed by the fire of revenge, Leonardo spends a night inside a horse's carcass to escape the biting cold. His condition is so severe that when he drinks water, it pours out through his torn throat. Starving for weeks, will Leonardo survive long enough to avenge his son? Let's watch to find out. The story begins in 1823. In a dense forest where 45 people are engaged in the business of hunting animals and selling their skins. Among them are Leonardo and his son Hawk. A sudden turn of events occurs when they are ambushed by a tribal group. The attack is triggered by the kidnapping of the chieftain's daughter, and the tribe suspects the traitors are responsible. Many of the group members are killed, and only 10 manage to survive. These 10 attempt to escape by boarding their boat. However, the danger is far from over. The area is entirely controlled by the tribe, who keep a close watch on the boat floating in the river. An attack could happen at any moment. Amidst this fear and uncertainty, the group's leader turns to Leonardo for advice. Leonardo suggests abandoning the boat and traveling by land. However, one member of the group opposes this plan, arguing that the land route is not only longer but also more perilous, and it could take weeks to reach safety. Despite the objections, Leonardo's expertise is trusted, and it is decided they will take the land route. Following the plan, they leave the boat in the river to mislead the tribe. They hide the skins under rocks, intending to retrieve them later, and begin the arduous journey through the forest. The route is treacherous, and with the harsh winter weather approaching, the situation becomes even more dire. But there is no other choice. That night, they rest in the forest. The next morning, they receive confirmation that their plan has worked. The tribe, finding the boat abandoned, realizes the group is heading north through the forest. The tribe pursues them, determined to wipe them out. The survivors press on toward the north, constantly surrounded by danger. After a day of travel, they set up camp in what they hope is a safe place for the night. The next morning, Leonardo wakes up first. After checking his gun, he heads out to explore the forest. The air feels strangely tense, as if something is amiss. Suddenly, he senses a presence nearby. His eyes lock onto a pair of bear cubs. Before he can react, the mother bear charges at him. His gun slips from his hand, and the bear attacks, inflicting severe wounds. Bleeding heavily, Leonardo lies on the ground. The bear pauses, standing just a few feet away. Summoning every ounce of courage, Leonardo reaches for his gun, but the bear lunges at him again. This time, Leonardo fires, but the bullet does nothing to stop the creature. The bear is too strong, and with another brutal strike, it leaves Leonardo barely clinging to life. All he has left is a knife. Groaning in agony, he pulls it from its sheath with great effort. The bear, also injured, charges again. Leonardo musters his remaining strength and fights back, both of them tumbling down the slope in a violent struggle. In the end, the bear falls on top of him, but it is dead. Leonardo, too, is on the verge of death, his throat torn by the bear's attack, and his body covered in deep, bloody wounds. His companions arrive shortly after, searching for him. They manage to remove the bear from his body and immediately try to treat his wounds. But his condition is dire. His throat is severed, his leg broken, and his chances of survival slim. Meanwhile, the tribesmen acquire the hides of these dangerous animals. They sell them for guns and horses, boosting their power and making them more dangerous than ever before. Leonardo's friends fashion a makeshift stretcher, hoping to move him, but the hilly terrain makes the journey nearly impossible. Seeing the hopeless situation, the captain orders Leonardo to be put out of his misery, but then Leonardo's son steps forward, pleading for his father to be given a chance to live. Touched by the plea, the captain shows mercy. He tells his men that anyone who stays behind with Leonardo will be paid $70 by the Rocky Mountain for a company. Leonardo's son and another companion volunteer to stay. Fitz, another member of the group, negotiates for $100. In the end, Leonardo's son and the other companion agree to forego their share of the money, willing to stay and care for him. The three of them stay with Leonardo, while everyone else moves ahead. Leonardo's condition is critical, and Fitz believes he won't survive for more than a day or two, but Leonardo endures, facing every challenge. One evening, when Leonardo is alone, Fitz approaches him, bitterness in his voice. "Why don't you just die? All of our lives are at risk because of you. If you give up your life, your son and I might be able to survive. If the tribesmen find us, none of us will make it." Then, Fitz continues, "I'm going to close your nose and mouth. If you blink, I'll take that as your consent." But Leonardo's eyes stay still. Fitz mutters, "You don't have to blink," and covers Leonardo's nose and mouth. Leonardo writhes in pain, struggling to breathe. Just then, his son appears from behind, hitting Fitz hard with the butt of a gun, knocking him away. Fitz tries to justify his actions. "I was doing this for the good of everyone." But Leonardo's son ignores him, aiming the gun at Fitz. Before he can react, Fitz grabs the gun, overpowers him, and kills Leonardo's son with his knife. Leonardo watches helplessly as his son bleeds out, unable to intervene. Fitz drags the boy's body behind a slope and hides it. When the third boy arrives, Leonardo cannot speak. His throat is too damaged to convey what Fitz has done. That night, Fitz and Jim fall asleep. In the morning, Fitz tells Jim that the tribesmen are close, heading their way. Jim grows anxious and asks about Leonardo's condition. Fitz then drags Leonardo, who screams in pain, though his voice is choked. He tosses him into a pit and begins to cover him with soil. Jim tries to intervene, but Fitz explains, "He's going to die soon anyway. I'm burying him as I promised." He then turns to Jim, "You need to leave, now." Jim leaves his water bottle behind, thinking the tribesmen are near. What he doesn't know is that Fitz is lying. There is no danger. Leonardo, left to suffer, remains in the pit. Summoning his last strength, Leonardo crawls to his son's lifeless body and lies next to it, his head resting on his chest. Hunger gnaws at him, and he survives by eating scraps of flesh from the fish skeleton nearby. When he drinks water, it leaks from the wound in his neck. In desperation, he seals the wound by burning it with gunpowder and a spark of fire, collapsing from the excruciating pain. One night, as Leonardo sleeps soundly, he is suddenly awakened by the sight of bright flames. Startled, he moves toward the source and finds a man feasting on a large prey. The man notices Leonardo and quickly aims his bow and arrow at him. Just as the man is about to strike, Leonardo gestures to stop him. Unable to speak, Leonardo conveys through his gestures that he is in need of food. He explains his tragic story. He was attacked by a wild bear, left behind by his people, and his son was killed. The stranger, too, has a tragic tale. His entire family and village were destroyed in a fire. The pain from both their stories connects them. The man offers Leonardo food and says, "You can travel with me." He also has a horse, which makes the difficult journey a bit easier. Meanwhile, Fitz and the boy who abandoned Leonardo are on their own journey. Along the way, the boy realizes that Fitz lied about the tribal story. He misled them to save his own skin. The boy rebels, but Fitz persuades him to continue. They come across a ruined village where they find 2 horses and continue their journey. When they reach their destination, the captain hands them each $100 as promised. The boy refuses the money, feeling guilty for the way he treated Leonardo. Fitz takes the boy's share of the money, explaining that the boy is young and inexperienced, so he's simply nervous. Leonardo and his companion are soon caught in a snowstorm. Leonardo's condition worsens, his wounds have become infected, and he loses consciousness. His companion tries to save him by building a small shelter. The next morning, Leonardo wakes up to find his companion missing. As he walks a little further, he sees that the French have hanged him. Leonardo eventually reaches the horses, only to witness a Frenchman torturing a woman. He kills the Frenchman and rescues her, but as he tries to escape, he is surrounded by tribespeople. In an attempt to flee, he rides a horse, but they push him toward a ditch. To save himself, Leonardo jumps into the ditch, taking the horse with him. The horse dies from the fall, but Leonardo survives. Desperate for warmth, he cuts open the horse's stomach, takes out the meat, and spends the night inside it. The next morning, he resumes his journey. Meanwhile, the boy and Fitz have already reached their destination, the place Leonardo was supposed to reach. A French survivor arrives and asks for shelter. The group demands money in exchange. The survivor doesn't have much, but he offers some money and a bottle. This bottle is the same one Jim had placed near Leonardo when he abandoned him. Jim mistakenly believes that Leonardo is dead, but he is certain his son, Hawk, is alive. He asks the survivor, "Where did you find this bottle?" The survivor explains that he picked it up 30 miles away from the location. Now, Jim and a group of people set off to search for Hawk, unaware that Fitz killed him. However, Fitz senses that Leonardo is still alive somewhere. The captain, Jim, and a few others head to the location where the bottle was found. Upon arrival, they discover Leonardo. The captain is shocked to see him, as Jim and Fitz had both claimed Leonardo was dead. Reacting swiftly, the captain commands, "Arrest Jim." Furious, he returns to camp, searching for Fitz, but Fitz is nowhere to be found. The captain looks everywhere, but he can't find him. When he reaches Fitz's room, he discovers that all the money is gone from the safe. Now convinced that Fitz has murdered Leonardo's son and stolen the money, the captain decides to go after him. But Leonardo insists, "I'll come with you." He also reveals that Jim had no knowledge of his son's murder, and that Fitz had lied to him as well. The captain and Leonardo set off in pursuit of Fitz, following the trail of his horse's footprints. However, after traveling a long distance, the tracks disappear. They are forced to split up. As the captain searches, Fitz suddenly emerges from behind a large rock and holds him at gunpoint. The captain says, "You are accused of murder. Come back with me." But Fitz refuses and shoots him. Hearing the gunshot, Leonardo runs toward the scene, only to find the captain's lifeless body and no sign of Fitz. In a desperate move, Leonardo breaks off a large branch and places it behind the captain's back to keep him upright. Fitz, deceived by the illusion, takes a shot. The captain's body falls to the ground, making Fitz believe Leonardo has been killed. He cautiously approaches the body, but as he turns it over, Leonardo shoots him, wounding Fitz in the shoulder. Fitz manages to escape, but Leonardo pursues him. The chase leads them to the riverbank, where a brutal fight ensues, leaving both men wounded. Just then, a group of tribal people appears across the river, intending to kill them. As Leonardo is about to finish off Fitz, he recalls the man who had once fed him and helped him escape on horseback. That man had told him, "Vengeance belongs to God, not man." Reluctantly, Leonardo leaves Fitz in the river. The current carries Fitz to the opposite shore, where the tribesmen capture and kill him. The tribe crosses the river and approaches Leonardo, but when they see his daughter, the same girl he had saved from the French, they decide not to kill him. They leave him and depart. In the final moments, Leonardo, badly injured, is alone. His wife's spirit appears before him. Tears fill Leonardo's eyes as his breathing grows heavier. And with that, the story comes to an end.